Imagine you are on a luxury cruise ship in the mid-1980s. The ocean is quiet, the music is playing, and you're surrounded by hundreds of people enjoying a getaway. Among them is a 53-year-old Italian doctor named Silvano. He's dressed in a sharp tuxedo, his red hair slicked back. To anyone watching, Silvano is having the night of his life. But as he steps off the dance floor, he notices something odd. He isn't just warm, he's drenched. Sweat is soaking through his dress shirt. Excusing himself to the restroom, Silvano looks in the mirror. And what he sees causes his stomach to drop into an abyss. His eyes are glassy, vacant, and staring back at him, our pupils shrank down to the size of tiny pinpricks. Most people wouldn't think twice about a little sweat or strange pupils. But Silvano wasn't most people. He knew his bloodline, he knew his family history, and in that precise moment, standing in a cruise ship bathroom in the middle of the ocean, Silvano realized something horrifying. The centuries-old family curse had finally come for him. He knew what would happen next. First, the muscle tremors, then the racing heart rate, and then l'anonima, the sleepless night. Except for Silvano and his family, it wouldn't just be one sleepless night. It would be an unbroken, relentless stretch of waking agony. He knew with absolute certainty that from this moment on, he would never, ever sleep again. And in less than a year, he would be dead. Silvano immediately abandoned his trip and flew straight to the sleep clinic at the University of Bologna in Italy. When he walked into the office, he didn't ask for a cure. He didn't beg for sleeping pills. Instead, he sat down, looked the doctors in the eye, and made a chilling prediction. I'm going to stop sleeping, and in 8 to 9 months, I will die. To prove he wasn't having a psychiatric breakdown, Silvano took out a pen and paper. Entirely from memory, he began mapping out his family tree, tracing it all the way back to the 18th century, to a Venetian doctor, who died under mysterious, agonizing circumstances in 1798. Generation after generation, Silvano pointed to his relatives, his father, 2 of his sisters, uncles, aunts, cousins. In one generation alone, his family had lost 6 children to the exact same condition. The story was always the same. A healthy adult in their 40s or 50s would suddenly start sweating. Their body would enter a state of permanent panic. They would lose the ability to sleep entirely. And within a year, their body would simply collapse from physical exhaustion. The doctors offered to try experimental therapies, but Silvano refused. He told them, I know I cannot be saved. I am here so you can study me, so that maybe one day my family can be freed from this curse. Just as Silvano predicted, within weeks, his sleep vanished completely. No matter how exhausted his brain was, the moment he drifted off, his body would violently spasm awake. By July of 1984, Silvano slipped into a final, unresponsive coma and passed away. Silvano was dead. But his sacrifice provided science with the key to unlocking one of the rarest, most terrifying medical anomalies on Earth. When researchers performed an autopsy on Silvano's brain, they expected to find a tumor or massive stroke damage. Instead, they found something far stranger. Deep inside the center of Silvano's brain lies a structure called the thalamus. Think of the thalamus as the central grand station of your mind. Almost every piece of sensory information, what you see, hear, taste, and feel, has to pass through the thalamus before it reaches the rest of the brain. More importantly, the thalamus acts as the master switchboard for your sleep cycle. It's the gatekeeper that turns down the noise of the conscious world. In Silvano's brain, the thalamus was destroyed. It was filled with microscopic holes, looking less like human tissue and more like a decaying sponge. The culprit? A misfolded rogue protein known as a prion. You might have heard of prion diseases before. Mad cow disease is the most famous. But while those usually attack the cerebral cortex or cerebellum, this specific mutation went straight for the sleep switch. Doctors named the condition fatal familial insomnia, or FFI. It is caused by a tiny microscopic typo in a single gene called PRNP. This gene produces a normal protein in your brain, but in people with FFI, a genetic mutation causes that protein to fold into a mutated toxic shape. And prions are sinister. They don't just sit there, they act like a contagious bad influence. When a toxic prion touches a healthy protein, it forces the healthy protein to misfold into a toxic shape too. It triggers a slow-motion biological chain reaction. Year after year, these corrupted prions accumulate in the thalamus, killing off brain cells one by one until the master switchboard of sleep is completely destroyed. What makes FFI one of the cruelest diseases in human history is that you don't realize you have it until it's already too late. You can live 30, 40, or 50 years feeling completely healthy, completely normal, and then, without warning, the trapdoor opens. When the symptoms start, FFY unfolds in 4 horrifying stages over the course of roughly 7 to 18 months. Stage 1. Months 1 to 4. It starts with worsening insomnia, unexplained night sweats, and sudden panic attacks. Your pupils shrink to pinpricks, and your autonomic nervous system goes into overdrive. Stage 2, months 4 to 8, panic turns into full-blown psychosis and paranoia. Because your brain can no longer access deep REM sleep, the line between waking reality and dreams vanishes. You begin experiencing vivid, terrifying hallucinations while standing fully upright. Your autonomic nervous system goes into overdrive. Your body is in a state of permanent fight or flight. Stage 3, your body loses its ability to function. The complete lack of sleep breaks down your metabolic system. Rapid weight loss sets in. You lose the ability to speak, walk, or control basic bodily functions. You exist in a permanent twilight trance, exhausted beyond human comprehension, but physically incapable of falling asleep. Stage 4, severe dementia sets in, followed by an unresponsive coma and ultimately total organ failure. Fatalities, 100%, cure, none. Mortality is guaranteed. To date, the mortality rate for fatal familial insomnia is 100%. Sleeping pills don't work. In fact, heavy sedatives often make it worse, putting the patient into a chemical coma without actually providing the brain with restful neural sleep patterns. Because FFI is an autosomal dominant condition, if a parent carries the mutated gene, their children have a 50% chance of inheriting it. Worldwide, only about 50 to 70 families carry this genetic death sentence in their bloodline. For centuries, these families lived in quiet terror, watching their parents and aunts die, wondering if they were next. But today, a new generation is fighting back. In 2011, a 27-year-old Harvard Law graduate named Sonia Valab watched her mother die a terrifying death from an undiagnosed neurological illness. Tests later confirmed it was FFI. Sonia got tested. The result came back positive. She carried the exact same PRNP gene mutation. She had the curse. Instead of waiting for the symptoms to start, Sonia and her husband, Eric, made a radical decision. They quit their careers in law and engineering, enrolled at Harvard, earned PhDs in biomedicine, and opened their own dedicated research laboratory. Today, they are leading the world in developing therapies designed to wipe out the toxic proteins before they ever start clumping. Today, Sonia and Eric are leading the world in developing antisense oligonucleotides, therapies designed to wipe out the toxic proteins before they can ever start clumping in the brain. In mouse trials, their treatments have successfully extended lifespans significantly, bringing human clinical trials closer than ever before. At the same time, families carrying the gene are using advanced IVF technology to screen embryos, ensuring that only children without the mutated gene are born. The curse stops here. In Australia, after losing family members to FFI, siblings Lachlan and Hayley Webb made national news by using this technology. Their message to the world was clear: the curse stops with our generation. Today, genetic testing can tell anyone in these affected families whether they carry the FFI mutation decades before symptoms ever appear. Yet, surprisingly, many family members actively choose not to take the test. They reason that living 30 years under the weight of a guaranteed biological countdown clock would poison every single good day they have left. Every time they have a simple night of restlessness or wake up sweating from a bad dream, the fear would paralyze them. Is this night the beginning of the end? It raises a profound, disturbing question about human nature and our own mortality. If there was a test that could tell you the exact way you were going to die, would you want to know? Or would you prefer to sleep peacefully for as long as you can? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and rest easy tonight.